Well, it's just football, isn't it, Rob? It's just that's the best way I'm going to say it's football. Reason why I'm going to say it's football is if you look in the Premier League and all the clubs about trying to get deadline days or January transfers in, everybody right along the course of the football clubs have struggled to get people in. I spoke to you before, Rob, about the knock-on effect of having the World Cup at the time and players what maybe have become available and more frequently just wasn't there. For us trying to get players in, it weren't for the want of trying. We did try, but as you know, which I've said to you before, signing a player and getting a player in, there can be so much red tape to go through it. And I'll just give you half a dozen reasons. Maybe wages ain't enough, maybe the offers what we offer enough, family issues, the club not releasing him, agents being funny, trying to get 2 or 3 clubs involved. That's just to give you a half a dozen examples of what it goes in trying to get a player in. Did we try? Yes, we did. Was we successful in getting them? No. But also I will say to you, Rob, it was always going to be minor surgery, if at all any, in this January window for Sheffield Wednesday.
Because of the injuries you've had though, and because of people like Mark McGuinness going back, have you got the numbers that you need? Because you did speak about maybe needing a bit more depth, didn't you? And bringing that in.
I have to go by, Rob, that when I look at this group of players, what over the first course after the season have been absolutely tremendous and magnificent, and they've brought us to this point here now where we currently sit second in the table and going to contest the top of the table clash tomorrow. And I have to go with that. And we spoke about in the summer about our numbers being lesser from last season, but there was more versatility to those lesser numbers, and we've seen that versatility this season being used in many different aspects, and I predict that that's going to be used again over the second half of the season, and hopefully they'll carry on doing what they've been doing.
The final one on transfers. Will you look at the free agents that are out there? There's always like a few players knocking around, and are you thinking, hey, we could get this player in to train with us for a bit? I mean, is that an option for you, and is anything being looked at there?
Not at the moment, Rob. Not at all. I've not really looked at any free agents at all. I'm just going to keep my focus on the group of players and where we're at here, and making sure that we're training to the levels that I expect of the players, and making sure that we're keeping everybody fit and well and on the training ground, because we've got the games coming up thick and fast that the whole squad will get called upon.
Any injury news going into this one, Darren?
No, apart from Reece James, apart from him, he's probably the only real concern, and we certainly hope to have him back in the next couple of weeks, if all goes well.
That's good news then, because having him back, and he's been so consistent for you, and if it's a couple of weeks, he'll be back soon then.
Yeah. As I said, hopefully we don't get no concerns over him over the next few weeks, and if we don't get that, then and he continues progressing the way he's done really, really well. Real rapid speed in terms of where he's been at, and we certainly hope in the next few weeks, if he goes to plan, then he'll join back up with the squad.
First versus second this weekend then, Darren. A big crowd at Hillsborough. It's a big one, this, isn't it?
I'm pleased, Rob, and I said it last year. It was a personal tick the box for me as a manager, because I came to the Sheffield Wednesday, the S6, and I said, my job is to see this place full. And if it's full, it means we're doing something right, all of us. But when I say we're doing something right, that's everybody's done something right in here. In terms of, I know people look at the group of players and the staff, but there's a whole load of staffing and behind the scenes that has to go on. And you, the supporters, as well, have been doing something right. And to see full again tomorrow will be a self-reflection, a joyful moment, certainly for me. But what I will say to the supporters is I'm thanking them all now. Well done to you all. Fantastic. But my next thing is you're coming into the S6 tomorrow, and sing your hearts out for the team, make the place, because there's another thing which I'm going to reiterate again. There's no better place than Hillsborough when it's full, and it's in and the crowd are in full voice. So what I'm going to say to everybody tonight when they're listening to this is well done, and we thank you as a team, but get right behind us and make the place what we know it can be, nice and loud and proud tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing everybody there tomorrow.
How much of a difference can it make, Darren, if Hillsborough's rocking?
I said it already. I mean, it really does put the hairs up on your back of your necks when it does. And when the crowd are in full voice, it is a special place. And, you know, you can't get a ticket tomorrow for love or money because of the way it is. But I'm so pleased to be in the arena tomorrow and certainly be an individual that's going to be experiencing that. So for the fans to be in full voice, I said it already. Sheffield Wednesday as a football stadium, it's got such the pedigree, the historical nature, the football that's been over there, the many players that's graced that turf over many years, and the supporters from family traditions passed down to younger generations. For that to continue in the passionate fan base that we've got, it's a special place, and it'll be a special place tomorrow when it's in full voice. And that would what I'd be to echo to the fans, and you know we'll get involved right from the start with them.
Nothing's going to be decided obviously by the result of this game, Darren, but how important is it to beat Plymouth? I mean, how significant could that be for you in your aims of winning promotion?
Yeah, we don't. What we do, Rob, is it's just about playing the game and not the occasion. The occasion is from the media, and that it's first against second. What we're just doing as a professional group of players and staff, it's the next game, and it would have been the same message irrespective of who was playing tomorrow, because it is the next game, and that's how we've treated the game. We know we're going to have to be at our level best, but we practice and train to be at the level best every single week to get better, and this is no different tomorrow. And they're a good team, we're a good team, both teams are head to head, almost probably on identical in terms of the form guide that we've been showing over a consistent basis over a long period of time in the game, but it stands for nothing because it's about turning the page and getting on with the job in hand, which is a really good game, and hopefully on paper it lives up to be that a spectacular game tomorrow.
Just finally, are you mindful as a manager at a time like this? It's got a big crowd. You know how much of a plus they can be. You've already spoken about that. But if you come out and you start fast and you take the game to Plymouth, it can really sort of help generate that atmosphere. Is that something as a manager you think, hey, do you know what, I'm going to set my team up to play this way, almost to make the most of the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it. We got I've always said, you know, since we came here and players were signed for the football club, you don't get to rest at playing for Sheffield Wednesday because of the expectation and the level and the demands of the crowd. So this is no different tomorrow, and that's why we've had such a wonderful, proud home record. Not just this season, but last season as well, really, in terms of it. And that says that, you know, in terms of when we're at the S6, you know, there has to be a certain DNA with us in terms of what we expect from the group of players every single game. And what we expect from them is honing in on those values for the football club and for the players and what it means to play for Sheffield Wednesday. And I want the players to be passionate. We've got a wonderful, passionate support base here. And I want the players to be passionate. I want the players to be proud when they pull the shirt on. That playing for Sheffield Wednesday means so much. And for the supporters to identify that with the group of players. And I think with that, the players show that there's always a connectivity with the supporters and the players, because the supporters will always associate hard work and determination. And if the players have got that in abundance and they can add that to the ability that they've got, then it makes them a formidable team.
Thanks, Darren. All the best tomorrow.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Afternoon, Darren. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Joe, you all right?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. looking forward to tomorrow now. For yourself, you spoke there about sort of making sure the lads play the game rather than the occasion. How difficult is that as a manager? You know, obviously they all want to be playing in front of these big crowds. How do you keep them grounded for a game like this?
Yeah, for the man, it's a different skill sets really. It's keeping them focused, making sure that they're doing the right amount of work, the amount of right quality work and not quantity to it, and just keeping them fresh and keeping the focus on and just keep moving it along. And each and every single week the games are coming, and there's always a different outlook and a different aspect on it. But even though there's a different outlook on it, Joe, it's maintaining and keeping the level of training and focus and looking to get better. Because every single week, when I say the games are different, the one week the formation may be different, the combinations may be different, the pattern to play may be different, the game plan may be different really. So there's always a level of understanding to what's expected and what we want to achieve from the game or try to achieve from the game. So every single week it's a learning process that once you turn the page and after the game on Saturday, come Monday morning, there's a filter right way up to the next game in terms of learning what the aims and objectives are, starting from the start of the week, building to the Saturday. We don't just get to a Saturday and turn up. There's a process building through the week. And I said every single day matters for the game on Saturday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when they get the day off, Thursday, Friday, it's all a building process for the game on Saturday. And that's where the players get to understand. So even on a Monday morning after a game, there's not a relax because we've turned the page, we've analysed the game on Saturday, and Joe, it's that build-up in preparation for the game on a Saturday.
And with that in mind, do you use obviously you can go top on Saturday with a win, do you use that as motivation or do you try and sort of play that down?
Our motivation, Joe, is, I think if you look and say, yes, psychologically you can go top of the league, and yes, that's why the volume and the crowd is in there tomorrow, because there's real hope in and amongst the Sheffield Wednesday and the supporters, and rightly so. What that does for me is to say continue looking to get better at what we are, and it's the level of consistency. The job is to win games, and we want to win games, as many games as we can. And the only way you get to do that, Joe, is by being the best version of yourselves, and that's the continued drive. If we go top tomorrow, there'll be a same continuous drive from myself and the team, and that's the bits and pieces is getting that level of consistency, because every single week we're being challenged to be the best version, and the hurdles are coming, and they come in different shapes and forms. Is have you got the adaptability to deal with those hurdles and continue? And thus far, the players have shown a level of consistency, a determination, a robustness to their game, a ruthless edge to their game, and a discipline to their game. But they've been proud of the run that they've been on. That's all gone now, John. We move on to the next one tomorrow, and we play the game tomorrow. It's a wonderful game. I think it's two excellent teams. I think in terms of the level of consistency, what they've set this season, they've done well, but people will argue and say that we've done the same as well in terms of the consistency. So both teams go head to head tomorrow. We look forward to the game, and like I said, hopefully the game will play out in what the paper will suggest where the both teams are in terms of the form guide.
Brilliant. I know you've touched on it with Rob a little bit. Just wanted to mention the transfer window. Was it a stressful deadline day for you, or were you pretty calm about where the team was at? And like you say, it was minor surgery rather than big changes needed.
Yeah, no, it was quite calm. I think I might have been back home 5 o'clock, which has certainly not been the case over certain transfer windows. We did try and sign. Remember I said to you, Joe, that we're looking at the quality aspects, what's going to add to the squad. What I didn't want to just do is add bodies for the sake of adding bodies. We tried for a couple of players, and it just didn't materialise. So it was small minor surgery really for the January window, and always was going to be, because a lot of our work we did in the summer, and you've seen that we've done in the summer, and I believe that by doing the work in the summer has got us to this point here now, because we got the players in the summer where we could work with them, integrate them in pre-season, and get them straight and get that solidity into the team. And we think that that's brought us to up till now, and hopefully the aim is to carry on taking us through to the end of the season. So what we looked at January was just making those minor adjustments. But as I said to Rob earlier, there's so much different red tape, Joe, that can go in getting a player across the line, and that what we witnessed at the time. But I'm sure we're not the only club that witnessed that we were all competing. But I always thought, in terms of the players that we wanted to get in and the quality of players that we wanted to get in, with there being the World Cup on and with them being in their respective clubs, it might have been a hard task of getting them out, and it played out that way, and I'm not at all surprised by it. So we shut the door and we get on with it, and I've got full trust and belief in the group of players that I've got here. We're a wonderful group. There's a wonderful camaraderie. There's a wonderful togetherness with them. There's a lot of versatility to the group in terms of playing style, actions, individual brilliance, combination plays. There's a lot with the group in terms of that. So what we have to do is make sure that we're getting the level best out of the group, and continue showing the consistency that we have been.
Would you say you were disappointed with not getting an extra couple of players in, or once you got Aiden, were you quite happy with the business that you'd done?
When I got Aiden, I did breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief that we got there as a central defender in. That was really paramount. Really, we had to do that. So once I got him in, I did breathe a little bit easier. And if the other two we could have got in happened, that would have happened nice. It would have been, and if we'd have got the two in that we wanted, it would have given us another whole new dynamics and a different edge to our team. But we didn't. But we have got others that can deputise into them positions, which they have done and will continue to do so. So that was the real basis of it, really. And as I said, the group have to keep going. As I said, apart from Reece James, which hopefully, if he keeps going well and we avoid any injuries, we'll be back in the next few weeks. Just gives us another edge to our team in terms of where we're at. And the boys have to remain focused, remain competitive in training, which they are, and keep competing to start games and perform well for the club.
With Reece, you said you were looking to try and get him back out on the grass for some early workout there. Is that all going to plan? Is he back out and doing some work out there now? Very
early, Joe. Very early, but the early signs are good. And as long as he don't get any reactions over these next few days, we can start stepping it up. And then go from there, really. And I think that's the bit, really, in terms of him. So hopefully it continues to go to plan, and we'll have a look.
And with Akin, was it cramp after all the work?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Excellent. So he's in the squad and available for tomorrow if needed? Yeah. Just away from the first team a little bit, David Eggbonter-Homer left for Boreham Wood this week. You spoke highly about David in the past, but said there was a few elements that he needed to work on. Was this just a case of you felt like, it was the best for his career and, to move on, I suppose? Yeah, we what we've done is with David is, for him at the level where he's at and for Boreham Wood, it worked. And for him, the biggest thing for him, Joe, is getting first team football and on the front line. And where David was at his level, we felt he was past under 23s. And for him to come back and be it now, though we would be in with our under 23s and on the verge of the first team, we thought the level in terms of where he was at and what he could do with Boreham Wood going forward would be perfect for him. I'm really pleased for him. He's such a wonderful man, and he's a good young player. He's eager, he's hardworking, he's disciplined with his approach. And the move to Sheffield Wednesday was good for him at the time. At the time when we got him, and now he's finding himself at a level playing at Boreham Wood, and we know the size and task what he's got at Boreham Wood, but we know Boreham Wood's a wonderful club and he's working under an excellent manager, and I predict a real bright future for him. I think if he continues doing what he's doing, hopefully he can help them to get back into the league, because I don't see why not, because they've certainly got the tools and the credibility within the management team and the staff there to go forward. And
he's certainly added to them. So I'll certainly keep tabs on him in terms of where he's at.
Excellent. And Luke Jackson's another one. He's obviously not gone permanently, but another loan spell out for him.
I only spoke to him 3 or 4 days ago, Jacko, on the training ground, and we spoke about him getting a loan, about him playing first team football at the level, playing games, but also coming in and training. And what the loan does, it allows that for him to play on a Saturday and then come and train with us in the week. There's no better training program for a first team goalkeeper of Jacko's age to play on a Saturday where he's got to make those decisions, coming for crosses, distribution on the ball, communicating to his back four, and getting in that dressing room where 3 points matters on a Saturday and getting the crowd. So he's got that environment. We're really pleased, but also we get him back in the week so we can keep check on him and keep him working hard. So it's a massive tick box for us, and I certainly hope that he can perform to the level that we know he can, and it'll be a successful loan.
Brilliant. Just lastly for me, this is a fan question. With yourself in your prime and Aidan Flint going up for Edo, who wins it?
I think I'd just win it. Just.
Brilliant.
Only just.
Cheers, Darren. Great stuff. Thanks, Darren.
Cheers, Joe.
Be like Alien versus Predator, that, wouldn't it?
That's it. Here you go. Which one? Which one am I, Alex?
I'll leave you to work that one.
Okay.
What happened with Michael Hector?
Yeah, no, I just we thought at the time. Remember what I said? It's very difficult when. I'm not saying that you can't get free transfers in and they're not at a level and then fit at a level and a stage, because it's probably where we needed him to be at the time. Remember I said we'd get through the early stages, we wanted to do all the data and everything else, but it was a process that we was going to go through different stages, and at the end of the day we just decided against it at the time, and we thank him for his time here. He was really, really good. He was great. He was back with some former friends, knows the ground, knows the history of the club and everything else, but it probably just didn't materialise at that time where it needed to be at, Alex. And again, I'm going to say that's just the football side of it.
Given that the situation with Aidan was sort of ongoing, or we gathered the club were pretty confident of getting that done at some point, and you were looking at Michael, we gather there was some interest in Stephen Welsh. Do you accept that maybe you're a body light in defence? Is that a concern at all?
Well, that's why when I said when we got Aidan in, Alex, that it was kind of a breathe. We saw Aidan a little while now, and we'd sort of pursued it, but also at the same time, getting him out the club at the time wasn't right at the time because he wasn't our player, and we had to respect that, the nature of that. So what we end up doing is you look at other, and probably that's where Michael came in as another addition that, should that not work, maybe the other one could work, or potentially. So you're trying to cover all bases really. And then that's what I said when the deal then came with Aidan coming in, we felt, okay, we've got one in, can the dynamics work with Michael potentially as well? Maybe, or if he didn't on this occasion, so then, but you still got that safety added pin of having Aidan in. So I think that's how it kind of went really, as well as covering yourself across a multitude of other potential central defenders to come in. So there's all that work was going on, Alex. But I must say that once we signed Aidan, I think everybody sort of breathed a little bit of sigh of relief, because we had that body in really that we needed to get in at the time, especially with Ben going down, Icky going down, and losing Mark McGuinness. So that was an area of concern really, but we're pleased that we filled it.
You made really, really clear that you'd have liked, I think the phrase you used was finish it as stronger than you started it, if you like, in terms of bodies, and you've explained the reasons that perhaps it didn't happen. Was there any sort of glimmer of frustration there that you weren't able to do so over the course of a month? Yeah,
of course, because I feel I've got a responsibility for the club, the supporters. The supporters want to see a good team. The supporters want to see a team that they can identify in terms of playing here at Sheffield Wednesday. So I feel I've got a duty of care for the supporters and giving them the best team possible. And that's what I'm always driven by, is the passionate base. And coming in here, I told you, as a manager, I've come in here and I've submerged myself and embraced myself within the football club. I've read up a lot of things and I've found out a lot of things about the football club. I've moved into Sheffield. I was out living outside. I've moved into Sheffield to get the atmosphere in and around the city of Sheffield and the club. So I've got a duty care for the supporters to make sure that they're getting the best team possible. So I can rest assure you that I went into that to give them the added one or two that I thought could give us an extra cutting edge, really. And I went for it, and I did go for it, and we did get to a stage with some of them. But I can assure the supporters that along the way there was other little outside influences away from Darren Moore and his team that interjected at the time. But also I've sat here before and said that we've done some great work where we have pulled players unexpectedly from out the grasp of others, and we brought them to the football club. At this time it was on the other side of it, where we got into these areas but we weren't able to get them there. And I can only smile and eulogise on what they would have brought us, because I know what I want for the team, but it wasn't. But also what we got in the building can cover and deputise for that, really. And that's how we got to go with now. The focus is on it. That's football. It happens. It's not just happened with us, but we've seen in the media with other teams and how difficult the transfer window it's been in getting and recruiting the right players in.
Yeah, no doubt. In terms of Baz and George, obviously they got there half an hour at the weekend. There's going to be a lot of energy and all the rest of it needed in midfield. Are you confident of being able to put the two of them into a three-man midfield?
Yeah, I mean, they're back training now, and they've been back training probably the second, probably going into their third week in terms of training. So they've been training. There's competition in that midfield department, as you know, but that's what we want. There's a versatility in that midfield department, as you know, but again, they're all competing against each other. Baz and George has been missing for a level of time, and the results have still continued. So credit to the boys that have deputised in there, and that shows the versatility that we've had when we've been without Baz and when we've been without George. The team has continued to move efficiently through the gears, and our style of player probably changed when they've not been in it, but the results have continued the same, which we've spoken about this season. That has to maintain. So it's important that there's real competition in there. It's important that, you know, we spoke about not becoming a one-man bandit team or two, relying on that. You know, we had to be versatile in our game, and hopefully over the last couple of months, all the supporters and all the spectators would have seen there's been a different angle and approach to Sheffield Wednesday. I'm so pleased that both of them are back, Alex. I'm delighted they're back in, because they add a different string to our bow again, because you want as many bodies as you can. So I'm really pleased they're back in. But also, if they're in or they're out, the same process has to continue.
Sort of on that, in terms of approach and all the rest of it, I'm not Maya stirring here, I'll say. Stephen Schumacher, one of his quotes from his presser yesterday: "We've had plenty of time to watch and analyse Sheffield Wednesday. We know what Sheffield Wednesday are about. We played them enough last season, and we've already played them this year." What do you make of that? Are you easy to work out, or?
What I would say is we're different from last year. That I can definitely say. In terms of where we was at last year to where we're at this year, we're a complete different team. There's different strings to our bow. There's a different mindset with the group. And there's a different angles to our play in terms of what we had. Why do I say that? Because of the personnel, what we've got in the team. So I can understand him saying from last year when we played them over a couple of times last year, but certainly this year, from where we was at last year, there's so many different things I see from us from last year that this year that are complete different, really. Because last year we looked at last year's League One campaign, and we adjusted things in the summer, and the adjustments of making that to the summer, we're seeing that thus far up to these, in terms of the facts, what we've done so far this season would suggest that we're a different team. So, but again, he's a professional. He's got to do his job, and I'm sure he has done his job. And in terms of spotting any or identifying any traits to us, I'm sure he'd have done it, because we'd have done the same with him.
Yeah, sure. A little bit of clarity, if you would, on Kieran Brennan and his situation. I know you're sort of keen to keep him out there. Is any option at all, has that sort of gone with the January window in terms of a recall?
Yeah, we was tempted to recall him back. I was looking at him and thinking, right, the game time he's had, and in potentially what we had in him. So I was potentially looking at him, but he's playing, and he's playing games, and he's playing regular football, and he's in a very, very good club. New management's taken over. I'm sure he's quite excited by that, and yeah, we'll keep monitoring him, but he's doing really, really well. And in terms of where he needs to be at, he's doing really, really good. But there was a temptation from me to call him back at the time.
Has that recall clause, is that gone now, or can you still enact that?
I think it's it was in the window, so I'd have to double check it again, Alex, but I'm almost sure it's gone.
Yeah, sure, okay. And then lastly, you spoke about the role that the fans can play. I wondered if there was a game during your tenure here at the club, in terms of looking back and thinking, was there a specific game that the fans were really at it and really made a huge impact?
There's been some memorable moments, Alex. From last season, the playoffs, Newcastle game this season, there's been some memorable moments, and that's why I'm quite excited by them, because, to hear, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday in the week, I heard it was a sellout. I was thinking, yes, brilliant, excellent. And I'm glad that on this Friday I'm able to put this message out and say, like, if you're coming into the S6 and you're part of Sheffield Wednesday and you're mute tomorrow, I'll personally see you myself. I want you to be like in full voice and getting right behind the team, and that's what you want to do, and do it, because when you are like that as supporters, you'll go a long way, far and wide of this country, of finding a better arena with the atmosphere. And I'm saying it to you as a manager, so, and the group of players really do. I think so. Do what you do best. Get right behind the team. Thank you for coming out and supporting. As I said, we continue on this journey together, and keep that unity and that togetherness that we've been building, and we have to continue to do that. And I just want to say thank you to them all, the supporters, but we know we continue to work.
Good stuff. I'll take my drum into the press box, I think, tomorrow.
Cheers.
Top man, cheers, Darren, all the very best.
Thanks, cheers.
Hey Darren, you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks, Ricky.
Good stuff. Just kind of building on that, really. I mean, tomorrow could possibly be, I think, maybe the biggest crowd at Hillsborough since you took over. I know Sunderland last year got close to it. How much are you kind of looking forward to that? Because they're few and far between, aren't they, these kind of sellouts, if you like?
Yeah, and I am really looking forward to it. And as I said again, credit to all the supporters, the fans, the spectators, everybody what's coming to get right behind and come and support the team. And I thank them, but they should thank themselves as well for helping turn and connect the S6 into what we wanted. Remember, we spoke years ago when I first come here, and it was in the time of sort of COVID, and we was playing games at Hillsborough, and I was thinking, this just is nowhere near what I know Hillsborough can be like. It's like the opposite end of the spectrum, really. And now we're seeing what it's like, and we're going to experience it tomorrow, what it's like, really. And again, credit to the supporters that this ground should be full of atmosphere and life, which it will be. And yeah, get down there, get here early, get out the way of all the traffic and that, get yourself in, get your seat, and get in there. And then once you get in there, do what you do best as supporters and just get right behind us. And as I said, it really will spur the team on. And the message is loud and clear. Thank you to you all. Credit to you all. And we got another hurdle to overcome tomorrow together.
Absolutely. I just wanted to touch on the transfers. Are you kind of glad that the window's over? I know it can be quite stressful, but are you glad that it's done and dusted for a few moments?
Yes, I am, Ricky. It's over and it's closed, because it just settles things down and we can get back to working and get back on the training ground, and things can become consistent, and we can just focus on the football dynamics of the league and making sure that we continue doing what we're doing and keep showing that level of improvement. And as long as we can continue to do that, that's what we keep pushing for. And we've pushed ourselves again this week. We got another difficult game again tomorrow. And as I said, we've got to be best prepared, and we know we've got to be the best version of ourselves if we are to come out with the right type of result.
Just on deadline day, I know maybe in years gone by the club might have made knee-jerk signings. Do you think the club has kind of learned lessons from that, and they're not just trying to appease fans who are calling for signings? Like you said earlier, it's about quality over quantity, especially the way you've built this squad. It's about having versatile players, I suppose, isn't it? Not just people just because it looks good on social media. We've signed however many players on deadline day.
Yeah, that's right. And you're spot on, Ricky, in terms of the recruitment process and identifying individuals to come here. And if you are identifying individuals to come here, they have to improve us. Last year we had 7 loans. Now currently we got 1. Do you know what I mean? So it just goes to show the level of where we've got to in terms of it. Last year we was operating near more up to 30 pros. I think we've got probably 21 or something like that now. So it just goes to show that level of detail in minimising the squad, but within minimising the squad, there is a versatility to the squad, and that's why I said in the January window, there was never going to be a knee-jerk reaction, and I used the phrase that it was minor surgery. And as I said, we got one of the most important ones in, which was a central defender. There was 1 or 2 other areas that we was looking at, but we didn't get those. We did engage with the players, we did engage with the clubs, but we didn't get them. But what I can say is, in those areas that we wanted to identify, we've got personnel that's been more than operating in those areas now and been successful in those areas. So what those individuals have to continue to do is showing that level of commitment, drive, determination, performance, and keep the team moving in the right direction.
I suppose as well, especially in January and the position the club's in and the reputation of the club, I've got a lot of agents probably touting their players, to play offer them forward. I suppose that he's kind of weeding them out, isn't it? Because everybody wants to join a team that's second in the league, so you have to kind of, vet them in that way.
Correct, and again, it's a good question. It's correct, because there was a lot given towards us and pushed our way, and you have to break it down. You've got to strip their game back, and you have to look and think, what are they giving us, and are they improving us, and are they making us better? And if they're not, you're just adding a body for the sake of adding a body, then you don't really want it. And that's hopefully there's been a progression with us from since certainly arrived there from transfer windows, and you can look back at the data and the personnel that's come in. There's been a transition with us, and it has to continue to be that way. We have to continue showing that solidity. We have to consider showing that consistency, that understanding. And like I said, I've got a duty care for the supporters and the football club that any player we're bringing in here is moving the club in the right direction. And that's something that I'm really been really careful on. And as I said, and that will continue to be my outlook in terms of making this club better than certainly when I arrived, really, and continuing the progress of this club going forward.
Just one last one on Michael Hector. I mean, obviously he joined Charlton, didn't he? I think it was on deadline day. The quotes from their manager seemed to suggest that he'd only had two training sessions with them. Were you surprised when you saw them hand him a deal like that? You know, given that there was no, they didn't have to sign him by deadline day, did they? They had an open window, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for any clubs, but their circumstances may be different. And it was quite highly documented in the media that he was training with us. So maybe the training sessions that he's had with us and the time that he's had with us has benefited them in making that decision in the couple of days he's had. But their circumstances may be completely different to us, and though I don't want to speak of it because it's not my position to speak of it, that's all I can say from an outside point of view. What I will say about Michael is tremendous man, great individual, really had the pleasure of meeting him. Everything I heard about him, he did, and in training, he was impeccable, he really was here. And I can only wish him and his family every success in terms of going forward, and I thank him for the time here and the opportunity to meet him and work with him. And if it keeps going the way it's going, I'm sure we'll see him. When is it, Ricky? Next month?
I think later this month, I think, yeah,
okay.
Charlton.
Yeah.
Later this month, yeah. When does your attention turn to, contract players that are out of contract at the end of the season? Obviously, we're getting closer and closer. When does that kind of come to the forefront?
I think at the moment, no time soon. The reason being is I'd have to have a chat with the chairman about that. And once I've had a chat with the chairman, who is obviously the owner at the club and that, then that will be identified and dealt with, because there's nothing I do any movements of that magnitude without him being involved. So it's about talking to the chairman and making sure that we're on the same page in terms of when it comes to it, and at the moment those talks haven't taken place yet.
Just obviously there was an incoming this week. I know it was to do with the under-18s and under-21s, but Favour, if I'm pronouncing it right, Favour Onakule. Just tell us a little bit about him and why that move kind of came about.
He's come in and been so positive. It really has. Whether everything's just gone for him, Ricky, in terms of a trial, but he's been really, really good and a breath of fresh air, and something that's been completely different to what he's got. Speaking to Steve Haslam, academy manager, we had no hesitation in getting him, and when players like this come available and they happen to fall into your hands and you got the opportunity to sign, get him signed. So I know, speaking to Steve and the academy, they're really, really pleased to have him on board. And for him to sign, it's been excellent, and of course that adds to the excitement of the under-18s going down to Cambridge in midweek for the FA Cup, and a chance to progress to the last sort of 16. We know it's going to be tough because Cambridge have just beaten the cup holders Chelsea, and so it's going to be a tough game. So because obviously after knocking Chelsea out, they'll feel they can beat anybody, Cambridge, and rightly so. So our boys have got their work cut out, but I've been quietly confident with these under-18s when I've seen them 3 or 4 times this season. If they can play to the level that they've been showing, then hopefully they'll come back up from south into the last 16.
Absolutely, yeah. Just on Favour, I noticed that it came from, was it like an academy set up down south? Is that right?
Yeah.
Valente?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the kind of background to that? 'Cause I've not heard of them before.
What happens is that from time to time we'll play these academies and it's just a game, and you play in a game, and hopefully if they've got 1 or 2 that show promise, and that's what's happened with him. We've played the game, he's shown a level to his game, and then you invite him in for a couple of weeks training with probably a couple of games of yourself, and he continues to do well, which all those boxes were ticked. And then in terms of that, we wanted to offer him the contract, and rightly so. So there is value in it when we play these teams. It's an opportunity for the kids in these academy to get into a professional background, and we've seen many stories like these, Ricky, and they're wonderful stories. And should it progress into a full-time professional contract, then what a magnificent story.
Absolutely, yeah. Just lastly, I want to I saw an interview with yourself in the Mirror, and it was quite a throwaway line. They said, what are your big interests or your big hobbies, if you like, is cycling. I just want to ask you about how you kind of unwind from, obviously, from the stresses and management of obviously the transfer window recently. How do you kind of switch off completely? What's your kind of go-to?
Yeah, it is that really. It's getting in the gym and sort of letting off a little bit of steam on the bikes. But also I've got a road bike as well really, and that is a fitness away from football that I really enjoy, Ricky, because you're getting out in the fresh air and to feel the breeze against your face as you're going through, but also at the same time when you're working, it's working on your strength and your fitness as well really. And I think that's a wonderful hobby that I've always wanted away from football. So it's great, it's excellent. Obviously I've not been out much in the winter because I had the knee up in the summer, but I'm recovering from that really good now, and so I've been more static in the gym. But certainly I'm in a better condition now, ready for this spring and summer to get back on the bike, and I can't wait for it.
I was going to say, you said you moved to Sheffield. You'll have noticed the hills, fair few hills. How's that on the bike?
Yeah, no, hard to catch your breath and that, but yeah, no, it's like I'm like trugging up them hills and that when you got the weight that I've got on the bike and that pulling up them hills, but they are tremendous. They really do add strength and power to the legs. But my goodness, there is some hills up here, and some of them I've conquered, some of them I can't. I don't even think of going up them.
I just wanted to ask you lastly on, I'm sure you'll have seen David Stockdale did the mental health interview with the BBC. Some really good stuff what he said on that. How important is that to you? And I suppose cycling's one way you kind of, switching off, keeping fit physically and mentally. I mean, he said some really good stuff on that, David, didn't he? I'm sure you'll
Yeah, I mean, mental health can affect us all in many different ways. However small or big it is, it does, and it's really important that with it we always. Some people can talk about it, some people can shut off about it. The key to it is in any situation you as an individual feel is to talk about it and to talk to somebody or a person about it. And it might be somebody in your circle of friends, it might be family, or it might be completely away. But I think the key to it is mustering up enough courage to talk about it. And especially in this industry where certainly I speak on behalf of the sort of the players, and where you're living in almost like a goldfish bowl, kind of where sort of everybody's looking within. Those pressures can come within, but it's really important that, certainly I speak about players within this industry and the group of players, is that, it's a job that they do. They happen to be talented footballers, and they're into the professional industry, but also at the same time is they're human beings. They're sons, their fathers, their husbands as well, like everybody else in society. And it's really important that generally in society we know that as well, in terms of players as well, really. So, but Stocker spoke very well. He's an articulate guy, and I'm really pleased that he's part of that, as I am with the Kaleidoscope Group Plus back in the Midlands as well. Really, I've been part of that really in terms of the mental health.
Good stuff. Cheers for that, Darren. See you tomorrow.
Cheers. Thanks, Ricky.